Gundam.tk presents Gundam Exia. Hey everybody, welcome back to part 2 of my review of the 160th Gundam Exia, and don't forget to check out part 1 to see all the parts and details. Once you've got it all built up, it's going to take about 3 seconds to put it all together. Put the chest onto the waist unit. The arms are one piece, so you don't have to fiddle around with putting the shoulders on first. And the head just attaches on. When you're done, you will have the biggest Gundam that I've ever built. You know, I really have to break out the wide angle lens and back my camera all the way up just to give you a spin around of this Exia. So first, some initial impressions, and I think the first thing that really impresses me is the black inner frame. And usually Gundams, especially Exia, seem to have sort of a gray inner frame. But I think in this case, for whatever reason, the black just makes it pop, and I'm really happy that they went with that. The legs, I wondered if they'd be a little bit bulky, as they seem to be on the side of the package, but overall, I think they seem to fit the proportions pretty well, and Exia looks sort of big and tough as opposed to his slender and sleek-looking master grade counterpart. In terms of posability, he's able to bring his legs forward and bend them back, and this raised waist joint, and because it's on a ball joint up here, you're able to move the leg sort of more than I expected. As far as the waist armor, it doesn't get in the way at all because it is the thong variety. And yeah, I've got to apologize for my camera angles here because it's hard to get this whole guy in a shot. In terms of arm mobility, you're able to spin the arm around, bring it across about this much because of the shoulder mechanism, and overall the wrists will bend forward and back, and yeah, so not bad. He can reach back and grab his beam sabers no problem. I'm not sure, no, he can't really go back and grab them from the other shoulder though. For weaponization, I'm just going to take the shield and plug it into the forearm. The shield works fairly well in the arm, with my only complaint being that if you put it off to the side, it's going to interfere and bump into the top of the shoulders, but otherwise you're able to bring it forward and still have it look like it's a cool pose and he's not dislocating his arm. It's a little tricky to get the GN sword in the hand, in the wrist, but if you fiddle around with it you'll get it, and you'll find that it stays in place very, very well. The GN sword fits in very solidly, and other than its plainness, like I said, some silver paint would do wonders, it fits in there and looks pretty good as a mini shield on the other hand. This was the same problem that I found with the Master Grade, but you're able to actually take this white part off of the side, and in the Master Grade it pops out, but in this part, just like the 1/100th, you put on an additional piece, and then you're able to hang the GN blades off the side. But you'll notice here that you're not going to get as much leg mobility as soon as you put that on. Once you add on the extender, you can put the GN blade in there, and then cap it off with the white piece again. Fully weaponized, here is a spin around shot of the Exia. And I think that it really brings out the brawler with him, to have him with his shield on and his GN sword, because it really increases the width. And before he was a pretty solid looking guy, but now he's even more so. For size comparison, we have 3 size Exias in all 3 of its forms. With the original here, 1/60th, then we have Repair 1 over here in Master Grade 1/100th, and High Grade Repair 2. And really you can see the difference in the sizes. It towers over the Master Grade if it was on the ground, and the High Grade does not even come close in terms of size. I think I finally found something that can match the sheer bulk of the MG GP02A. And since I can't compare it to a tin of pop because that should be copyrighted by the great Too Old for Toys, here it is compared to a jewel case. So it just gives you an idea of how massive this kit really is. In terms of posing, there's not a lot of ideas from the box and instruction manual, which led me to believe that there isn't really much you can do with it, but I would put its posability at just under the 1/100th non-grades. So it's better than I expected, and so far no weight issues with the weapons. I'm not a big fan of the bent sword effect that you can do with the GN sword, but if you want to do it, it works really well because this piece stays so well in the hand. The beam sabers fit in very well because they have the 2 marks on this side, and this is just a piece that you put in. I really like the beam sabers. The short ones pack a fair bit of punch, and they're bigger than I expected. Outside of a little bit of warping, I think that the huge size of the long beam sabers looks really sharp as well. Because the arm and head mobility is a little bit limited, it's hard to get the angry staring down the barrel of your beam rifle effect. The GN blades add just the right effect in terms of toughness and a solid weapon compared to the beam sabers. With a little bit of imagination, however, I think there's quite a few poses that you can pull off with this that look surprisingly good for a non-grade. Some final thoughts now on the 1/60th Gundam Exia. And I have to say that I am way more impressed with this model than I expected I would be. I remember I didn't buy it at the beginning when it first came out, not because of the price point, but because I had just built the 1/100th, and I felt that this was just an identical clone, just in bigger size, but I thought because of that its hollowness would really show through. But having put this together, I'm surprised by how solid it feels, and especially when you compare it to how, I don't know if there's a word better than loose, but the Master Grade has almost too much posability. You can move a million different things, whereas this is just a big blocky beast, and once you set it up, it's not going to move and you're not going to have any problems with it. However, it reminds me of how much I liked the design of the Exia in the first place, because it comes with the 7 swords, the beam sabers work great, they fit in the hands well, the GN blades look good with a little bit of lining, and the GN sword moves very well. And I'm especially impressed with just the fact a lot of Gundams need to learn that they have to put the shield in a position where it can be used and look cool and not get in the way. One other thing that always made me hesitate about buying 1/60ths is because I don't paint, I always figured that once I do start painting something big might be the best way to start, and this was always something that I thought I might get around to painting. But with a little bit of decent lining, and it's very simple because they give you big deep grooves to work with, you can have this look pretty sharp. Although I would highly recommend painting the green parts and putting the gray around the head, because if you don't have that gray around the mouth, the lower mouth area here, I think it really looks more like the first grade. Finally, I just have to say that because of the cool look of the inner frame, the outer frame, everything works together. And because of the price point, this being $45 and comparable to a Master Grade and even cheaper than the Ignition mode, this is a little bit dangerous for me because it makes me want to look at the 1/60th Freedom, Force Impulse, etc. because I've seen them built and they all look like fun. And I had a lot of fun building this model, though the fun doesn't come from how complex the inner frame is. If you want that, you've got to go with the Master Grade. But the fun comes with this, that you're making a giant toy for a reasonable price that's actually pretty fun to play with. So if you're into that kind of thing, I think that you would actually enjoy spending $45 on this, and you may not have to go up to the perfect grade. But that being said, stay tuned in November. On the 28th, I'll be here with a video of the rollout of the perfect grade 00 riser. But in the meantime, for $45, I don't think you can go wrong with this one. But of course, none of these videos would matter unless you're watching them and hopefully enjoying them a little bit. So if you do, please let me know with a comment and a rating. And if you have any questions, always feel free to post them up on my front page. Anyway, thanks for watching, and don't forget there's a million other reviews, including lots of different Exias and 00s at www.gundam.tk. What the hell is this? Give that back. Why do you get a grade, and I'm considered non-grade? Hey, I'm huge. Do you know my high grade is bigger than you are?